Man has hunted since the beginning of time. What began with crude weapons and animal images scrawled on cave walls has developed into a multi-million-dollar industry. From the Tilton Hiltons to the mansions in the marsh, we hunt and we cook. Everything from rabbits and raccoons to deer and ducks, while learning about the passion of sportsmen through the ages. Man's love affair with hunting is really not about the kill, but how to prepare a sumptuous wild game banquet after the hunt. Now get that camouflage apron and join me, Chef John Folse, for another Taste of Louisiana.
Funding for After the Hunt with Chef John Folse is brought to you by the Baton Rouge Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Day is dawning on the Mississippi River and the sun is shining on Baton Rouge. Attractions, shopping, food, and Southern hospitality you know and love. Go BR and go brighter. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting. Our mission is to tell Louisiana's story to the world. And by the Louisiana Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism. Vacation planning guides are available at louisianatravel.com. You wait all year for your vacation. Don't sleep through it.
All right. Look at these guys here. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Hey, Tory, how you doing, man? You doing good? You doing good? Hey, man. Hey, everybody, how y'all doing? Hey, man, good to see you. Good man, huh? Thank you. I tell you what, Bubba Frey, Mowata, Louisiana, you're a good man. Thanks for being here with us today. I'll give my hand, y'all, right quick, huh? Hey, everybody, thank y'all so much for joining me in Sportsman's Paradise today for yet another edition of A Taste of Louisiana. I'm absolutely thrilled to have all of you in here. Well, not all of you. I mean, some of you look pretty wild here in the audience, but we're happy to have all of you, and especially all of you viewers back home across the country. I wish you were here with us today. You know why? We're cooking turtle, right? Huh? Yeah. I don't think y'all too excited about it is what it sounded like to me. Thank you, Al. I appreciate that. Y'all, in 1184, Henry II issued the first major legislation dealing with the forest and its animals. He established a hierarchy of offices, including game wardens. Issues with conservation efforts climaxed in the early 1900s following the decimation of animal herds and species. In 1933, Aldo Leopold, the father of scientific wildlife management, became the first professor on that subject at the University of Wisconsin. Particularly in Louisiana, conservation applies not only to wildlife management, but to our wetlands as well. Let's take a look. Conservation in Louisiana is a twofold topic. There's wildlife conservation and there's coastal conservation. In Louisiana, our wetlands are disappearing at an alarming rate.
Since 1900, we've lost over 2,000 square miles of land that was once part of Louisiana.
While local communities are certainly threatened, national assets are at risk too.
We're the second largest producer of seafood in the nation. Only Alaska produces more tonnage than Louisiana. So the nation depends on our seafood production. And a tremendous percentage of our oil and gas that supplies the cars and the vehicles that drive on our roads comes through Louisiana, the coastal area.
Hurricanes Katrina and Rita in 2005 intensified the issue. With these storms, approximately 200 square miles of marsh were washed away within a 4-week period. Estimated costs to restore the protected Louisiana coastal lands range from $100 billion to $150 billion. Though Congress authorized $7 billion for Louisiana's 17 coastal projects, only $100 million has been seen. The problem of coastal erosion is overwhelming. Some experts suggest that the area west of New Orleans across the Mississippi River is the fastest disappearing landmass on this planet. With every day of inaction, a little more of Louisiana becomes a part of the Gulf of Mexico. The other side of the conservation coin concerns wildlife. Thankfully, great sportsmen are great conservationists. They love wildlife and support laws that protect our game and wildlife species. Conservation dates to the medieval period with severe punishment for breaking game laws. Game laws have existed in America from early colonial days.
The first wildlife laws actually sprang from church laws, what we refer to as blue laws now. The church in the colonies said that we don't want you out hunting on the Sabbath. So the first law didn't have a lot to do with the game, but it had a lot to do with how they wanted you to behave on Sunday.
The golden era of the commercial hunter from the post-Civil War years to the beginning of the 20th century nearly drove many bird and animals into extinction.
If you look back to where the buffalo was slaughtered for the hides and the meat, and they were driven to extinction, the passenger pigeon was killed out because people were eating the passenger pigeon.
National magazines such as American Sportsman, Forest and Stream, Field and Stream, American Angler all emerged at that time. Sportsmanship and responsible hunting were the mantra of these journals.
Shortly after the turn of the century, Teddy Roosevelt, our guest, is clearly our most conservation-minded president. And he motivated a lot of people to get involved. He also founded organizations like the Boone and Crockett Club, that a lot of our work stems from that early day where they said that fair chase was important to going out and harvesting animals, and you need to do it in the right way. You need to abide by the law and follow the guidelines that lead to wise management and a continuation of the resource.
With guidance from professional game managers and proper wildlife management, hunting in this country should remain an outstanding sport for generations to come. All right, All right. Thank you there, Bubba. Oh, y'all sounded great back there with that fiddle. That's in my honor, right? Thank you so very much. Hey, how y'all doing today? For those of you from outside of Louisiana, how are you all doing today? Or how are you doing today, huh? Anyway, it's great to have all of you in the house today. What a great day. You know, not only do I have a couple of great guests at the kitchen counter with us today, but in your honor, we're cooking turtle. Yeah, it's a rare delicacy. I noticed, as I noticed a minute ago, that some of you were not excited. You were probably thinking to yourself, I had to choose this day to come. I got to come the day we were grilling filet mignon or whatever, huh? Well, this is the filet mignon of the swamplands right here, turtle. Y'all sitting right here at the counter, a couple of my really great friends, Secretary of Wildlife and Fisheries, Robert Barham. You just heard his great words. Nice to have you. Huh?
Yeah, good to be with you.
Really good to have you. And Tory McPhail, one of the top chefs of New Orleans. You and I had the opportunity to get into one of your into your kitchen. Mm-hmm. Steal a few ingredients.
Great place.
Did the boss ever find out we took all that stuff out in the patio and cooked?
The secret's good with me, my
just
friend.
between us, nobody else to say a thing. Huh?
Exactly.
We had a great day of cooking turtle soup over at Commander's Palace, and also the winner of the Great American Seafood Challenge against, I don't know how many states. We're going to talk about that in a little while, probably about 15 or 20 of them.
15, right?
You could have took them with one hand behind your back. Y'all ready to cook turtle? Let me tell you what we're doing here. First of all, let me show you a turtle. Right here. Now, when I turn the shell over, you notice the algae on the outside of this shell because this turtle was actually swimming yesterday. I hate to tell you that. Well, I mean, we're putting it to good use. You know what they say, if you kill it, eat it, and that's a good thing, right? So I want to show you that very, very nice, and we would just scrub the shell, cut that center out with the huge machete like that. Yeah. Yeah, we meant business. And then chop it into 4 and throw it in, and there was a real gelatinous quality to the shell, so of course it would be really beautiful. Y'all ready to cook here? Let me show you what I have. Turtle, do you know that turtle has 7 distinct different flavors of meat in it? Have you heard that? Yes. This side knows nothing about turtle. Okay, this side knows everything about turtle. Tell them again, please, do you know that it has 7 distinct flavors of meat in turtle? No, that was pretty weak anyway. So 7, yeah, and if you look at it, you can see the different colors of the meat too. Very light, very dark in the leg muscles. They say, Bubba and I were talking about that earlier, a little duck, a little rabbit, there's squirrel in it, there's some people say fish as well. You've heard that, Commissioner? Secretary?
Chicken too.
Chicken is in it too. All right, we've taken that with onion, celery, bell pepper, garlic, potatoes. This is sauce patot, typical of a hunting camp where you would try to sustain the hunters with just a lot of starch and a lot of vegetables, throwing a little bit of protein. So in the pot, I have my dark brown roux. Take a look at this. Equal parts of oil and flour. 1 cup of oil, 1 cup of flour, cooked to 385 degrees until you got that beautiful chocolate color, which not only thickened the dish, but it flavored and it gave it color. Do you smell that? This is like, this will put you to sleep. It's kind of like ether. You go to one of the hospitals and they'll just put a napkin over your face with this on it and just put you right to sleep for surgery. This is sauce patot with turtle. Now, sauce patot means a potato sauce. So I've taken the turtle and I've browned it in the roux. Take a look at this, and you can smell the nice, that nice pecan flavor. Now I'm going to come right in with all of these beautiful flavors. Look at this. It looks like a stained glass almost, right? Onions, celery, bell pepper. Y'all with me? Oh, yeah. Look, garlic. Yeah, a lot of garlic. You with it? Okay. Oh, yeah, I guess so. I know what you're thinking now. This is looking pretty doggone good. That's what you think. Now it's a sauce patot. There it is right there. The potatoes are going in, which is going to add even more starch to it. And then a little bit of turtle stock. You keep turtle stock in the refrigerator, don't you? If not, just go to the soup aisle at any of your grocery stores. You're going to see turtle stock, and you're going to see all of that, especially if you're in your bayou country. So I put the stock in, and once this starts to cook and comes to a rolling boil, the roux is going to thicken it nicely, right, guys? And the potatoes are going to start to thicken it. Now, in the Cajun household, there were so many young mouths to feed, so many trappers, so many hunters, they needed a little bit extra protein, a little bit extra in the pot, so they went to the hen house. You remember this? Huh? You should be in the middle of the room, huh? That way you could translate for us, okay? All right, y'all, right here, you would break the egg right into the pot like that. Now, Rick, this isn't something that you just poach this egg. You're going to cook it solid because it's going to suck up all the flavor of the roux. It's going to be absolutely magnificent. I would put about 6 of them in here. And what would we do with this after it's all cooked? Well, we would come over to this tureen right here. There it is. You see all the meat and the potatoes in there? Take a look at that, huh? Look how rich that is. See that? And this is a hunting camp, so look at this. Over French bread. Huh? Look. Can you imagine potatoes and eggs and all of that over French bread? Yeah. In Louisiana, you eat and die, but with a smile on your face, right? That's the toughest thing. That's the toughest thing the funeral home has to do to our body is take the smile off of its face, huh? That's it. A little bit parsley right on top of that. Looks pretty good, huh? That looks good. Y'all, just a couple of weeks ago, I had an opportunity to go into Commander's Palace to cook a great turtle soup with that guy right there, Tory McPhail. Why don't y'all watch and see what we did? Today we're standing in the garden room of the beautiful Commander's Palace restaurant in New Orleans. Without a doubt, the most famous restaurant in the city. 130 years old, right?
130 years old, was built in 1880, that's
1880,
right.
And of course, next to me, Tory McPhail, the executive chef here, originally from Washington State, right?
Yeah, that's right, John.
What brought you to Commanders?
Just good cooking. You know, my family was in the farming business, and nobody ever really cooked professionally, but we all grew up in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so went through culinary school and decided to come down to New Orleans.
Eventually, New Orleans drew you in,
That's right.
Now, one of the things that I want everybody to know, not only is Tory, look, when I think about great chefs in New Orleans, I think of him right in that top 1 or 2. And at the same time, he's been recognized as the great American Seafood Challenge cook-off winner against 13 states, I guess, participated last year, and you took the top award. Yeah. Well, I'm here because you also take the top award in the city in turtle soup.
It's a good recipe, it is.
Yeah. Now turtle, let's look at this for a minute. The meat of this turtle, people say 7 different flavors in turtle meat. Have you?
Yeah, exactly right. So this is just pure turtle meat. We've ground this. through our butcher's die, so it's nice and even and very consistent.
Now this is not sea turtle, the endangered species. This is the Louisiana loggerhead or snapping turtle, right?
That's exactly right. The snapping turtles is what we use, and they're fairly small, about this size.
Yeah. Well, hey, no better turtle for Louisiana soup. Now let's start off. You've already browned some here, right?
That's exactly right.
And now this is for demonstration purposes here. You get it nice and brown. I've always heard from, I grew up in the swamps of Louisiana, and my grandfathers would always say you can taste beef and lamb and turkey and fish and alligator and everything else in it. So that's why I asked that question. Now, next into it, once it's brown, the Trinity?
Yeah, onions.
And how much you want to put in?
Probably put in about a third of that.
About a third of that, okay. And then we're going to have a little bit of celery next.
Celery and green bell pepper.
Good, and I can stir that for you while you dump everything in. And so we just just throw it on in there. Now we would actually allow this to cook down in these vegetables for about what?
Just about 30 minutes, and what you're really looking for here is a good, rich, caramelized flavor, and that helps to add a lot of depth and body to the soup.
Right. So the onions and all this Trinity would cook way down and sweat down into the pot, and the turtle would be about equal. So now a little bit seasoning.
A little bit of thyme and oregano. A couple of Louisiana bay leaves.
Right.
And we'll sweat all this stuff down together.
Now, this recipe is one that you've kind of created on your own as you came here. It's traditional in Louisiana, of course.
Well, I think the basis of this recipe really came from our friend Paul Prudhomme.
Oh, okay, sure.
And when he was the chef back here in the 80s, he really started to ramp up the culinary scene of Commander's Palace.
Well, yeah, great chef, and of course world-renowned, no doubt about that. Now, let's say if this cooked all the way down, what do we do about thickening it? Do you use a dark brown roux in it, or do you use...
We use a blonde roux. Okay. And that helps to add a little bit more of a lighter type of flavor to it.
Right.
And so we're going to take this and just kind of mix it right in there.
Okay, good. And the blonde roux, of course, thickens a little bit more than the dark roux because it hadn't been cooked and the flour hadn't been cooked away in it. So now this is good. Now, for demonstration purposes, again, at this point, we let this cook all the way down. Now we're going to add a little tomato to it or other flavorings.
Well, we got some stock right here we'd add.
Okay. I'll add that in. And then, of course, what else are we going to put in at this point? This will cook for about an hour, I guess, at least, right?
And then just to finish it after that hour, we're going to put in some of our other flavoring ingredients. Okay. And that's some fresh spinach here.
All right. Spinach, that's a twist, okay.
Yep. Just some fresh tomato.
Right.
Add some good color, some acidity there.
Right.
And also some egg.
Okay, and a little bit of egg. And then this is going to all cook away, and then, of course, you're going to finish it with some final things. I see you have a lot of stuff there, Worcestershire sauce, hot sauce.
Basic seasonings that way.
Creole seasonings of some type. Y'all, it's spectacular. You have to come right here to Commander's Palace to sample it for yourself. I have it spectacular. This is what it looks like when it's done. Tory McPhail right here, huh? All right, Bubba. Mowata, Louisiana, in the heart of rice country, and that's where these guys are from. Traditional Cajun fiddle, accordion music, and the lady always sings. There it is, right there. Thank y'all so much. Absolutely. When we were cooking the turtle soup, there was a group of finished seasonings you were going to put in it. How do you normally finish it up?
We always finish ours with good Louisiana hot sauce, a splash of Worcestershire, and then bottles and bottles of sherry, which really adds a nice dimension to it.
Sherry always at the end. Where's the tradition of sherry and turtle coming from? Do you know?
You know, shoot, I got to Commander's about 18 years ago, and it's something that Jamie and Emerald and Paul Prudhomme have been doing for ages and ages, and it really helps to add a little bit more of a seasoning dimension towards the end. You got spicy and add sweet to it.
You know, I think you threw out all those big chefs' names just to embarrass me.
Wow, don't go that far.
No, legendary chefs at Commanders, and you're right into their shoes. So, hey, congratulations to this guy, right? You heard the names, right? Now, how does that soup mix up with the other soups y'all serve? Is that the number one?
It is certainly one of those classic dishes that people travel from all over the world just to come to Commander's Palace and sit down and enjoy it. We sell probably, well, we buy anyway, at least 5,000 pounds a year just to be able to make thousands of gallons of soup. So it's one of our most popular items.
If you ever run short, I have turtle.
Okay, I'm going to call you up and say, hey, come on. We'll work out a deal.
Well, thank you so much for being not only a chef and a great gentleman, but also a fabulous host. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Secretary,
Chef.
Wildlife and Fisheries. We were talking, now you control under your department controls all of regulation and of course all enforcement of game management as well, right?
Well, through the legislature and our commission, Wildlife and Fisheries Commission, we administer the laws that apply to the wild creatures of Louisiana.
Yeah, and that includes the hunters. Because when you talk about wild creatures, oh, wow.
We don't have many of the wild creatures get out of hand, but a hunter or two occasionally.
Yeah, that's where the management comes. Rick, why don't you take this? I see you keep eyeing this wonderful sauce patot with the French bread.
I'm all about it.
Yeah,
I'll
you
go
take
make some friends.
Make some friends. Just put it on the table right there, huh?
Maybe not so much.
But what is, we're talking about loss of habitat, and certainly when we talk about conservation, we talk about animals as well as habitat. What's happening there with all the hurricanes we've had in the past, et cetera? Where are we?
Well, Louisiana, we are the sportsman's paradise, but we face tremendous challenges, and land loss is obviously the biggest. We've lost thousands of miles. We've lost the equivalent of the state of Rhode Island, and it's just tragic to see it disappear. As at our age, you and I remember the coast of Louisiana to be different from the coast that we see today. So it's happening in people's lifetime, and we have to stop that if we can and preserve all the habitat we possibly can, because Louisiana is a magical place.
It is, and I should say that hunters are conservationists, no doubt about it, because they've come to realize that if they're going to get out into the swamps and the woods and hunt animals and have a good supply, the measures that we take to preserve that habitat and also preserve and manage that game will ultimately give us all we need. And as I say, guys, on a cooking show like this, if you kill it, cook it. Eat it, all of it. Don't grind it all up into sausage, all right? Huh? Use it all. Okay, let's talk about turtle. Y'all want another turtle dish here? Huh? Huh? Okay, look, I have my turtle again. I told you about the 7 different meats. This one is going to be a dish called Turtle Lafourche, Turtle Lafourche, named after that great super watery highway called Lafourche from the Gulf of Mexico, coming all the way to the Mississippi River or vice versa, whatever way you're gonna take it. But all of the pirates from Jean Lafitte on used that Mississippi River to come, used the Lafourche to come from the Gulf into the river and back into New Orleans, where they wouldn't be waiting for them at the Gulf. They came through the back door of New Orleans, so to speak. So it has a really, really great history by Lafourche. And of course, Donaldsonville, one of the early capitals of Louisiana, is at the mouth of Lafourche. All right, y'all, I have the turtle already cooking in my pot, because turtle is one of those things, depending on the age, depending on what it's eating, determines how long it's going to take to cook. So right here, I have it already browning. The difference between this dish and the last one we did, it is a stew, because these bayou land dishes call for braising and rich liquids and roux base to stick on top of rice or potatoes, right? That's our diet here, which I'm sure you can tell. That's our normal diet. So look at here. Onion, celery, bell pepper, garlic. You with me? All of it into the pot. Oh, yeah. That's where our flavors come from. You know it, right? Huh? And I'm lucky, as I'm sure you are, to have someone in the kitchen chopping all these things beautifully into the right sizes. That's what you have as well? Huh? Absolutely, you have to have it. That's the first thing. When you get a kitchen like this, hire 3 people to chop, okay? Then you can... People say, I hate to cook. I say, that's because you don't have choppers. That's your problem. Okay, so we have onion, celery, bell pepper, rotel tomatoes with that hot jalapeno. And as if that's not enough, habanero. Yeah. And as if that's not enough, red wine. Boy, you get those Catholics out of church, they go crazy, huh? Oh, I tell you, huh? Yeah, a little bit in there. Rick, you got to have a nice... I know Rick was sitting there saying, no, a little bit more, a little bit more. So now I have the wine in with the roux. This is the way it's done, right?
It looks good. Smells great.
All right, so now I've added the stock to it. So this is going to cook, and it's going to just simmer so rich in that nice, wonderful red wine sauce. The turtle, of course, is deboned in this case, because the bones do have a tendency to get in your way, you know, when you're serving it on top of rice. So a lot of people will boil it first, create the stock, debone it, and then, of course, after it cooks for about 2 or 3 hours, this is what it looks like right here. You see that? Can you get a good little shot of that? I'm going to look down in there. You see that? Oh, yeah. What do you serve this with? Well, you saw I served all of the potatoes and everything over bread. Well, I'm going to serve it over potato salad. Huh? Good, rich potato salad. Mr. Secretary, I want to thank you all so much for being here with us today.
Great to be
Very, very nice to have both of you. What great guests you've been. And, of course, Bubba Frey and the band from Mowata. And I want to thank all of you for joining us in the swamplands of Louisiana. And remember that man's love affair with hunting is not about the kill, y'all. It's not about the skill. It's all about the fabulous feast after the hunt. See you next time on the Taste of Louisiana. Bubba Frey.
To purchase the After the Hunt cookbook by Chef John Folse, an After the Hunt t-shirt or program DVD, call the number on your screen. Funding for After the Hunt with Chef John Folse is brought to you by the Baton Rouge Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Day is dawning on the Mississippi River and the sun is shining on Baton Rouge. Attractions, shopping, food, and Southern hospitality you know and love. Go BR and go brighter. And the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting. Our mission is to tell Louisiana's story to the world. And by the Louisiana Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism. Vacation planning guides are available at louisianatravel.com. You wait all year for your vacation. Don't sleep through it.